In this episode, I will cover subjects that are not suitable for children. So if your kids are present, you may want to watch or listen to this episode later. Welcome to HB RV Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. Now, several of those subjects today are going to be kind of a mix of the RV industry and the other things because realistically, or at least I should say metaphorically, they are connected. Okay, and the first subject that I'm going to cover is social media. Now, I'm not talking about RV influencers. No, we're not even going to cover that subject. I think we've covered that subject enough for 2024. This is more about marketing. This is more about reaching the community, reaching the potential and limited buyers that are in the market right now. Because, first of all, we're fighting Santa Claus. And second of all, obviously, as we've covered before, the economy isn't exactly strong. But let me throw this out there. There is a young lady named Sophie Rain that claims that she is a virgin and she is on OnlyFans selling her quote-unquote body, and she made $43 million this year. Now, ESPN and a bunch of other little podcasts kind of compared that $43 million in 2024 to professional athletes' salaries. This young lady, through OnlyFans, probably some TikTok, probably some Instagram, this young lady made close to $43 million in a bad economy. Now, you can tell me, yeah, well, because she's probably taking off her clothes, probably because, she's showing off her lady parts. And that's probably true, but that's her, what I'm going to call, vehicle. That's the vehicle she chose to make money. Now, let's look at some facts that some adult film stars don't even make that kind of money. Okay? Adult film stars, if you actually look in the grand scheme of things, don't make that much money compared to this Sophie Rain lady. So what's the difference? The difference is in the pitch. The difference is in the marketing. And the only real company in the industry, in the RV industry, that actually does a really good job of marketing is the guys at Brinkley / former owners of Grand Design / former employees of Keystone RV, etc. Now, here's the thing. They're not that great at marketing itself. They're great at making sure that any negativity about the brand is squashed. Okay? And that's fair. I'm not against that. To me, that's fair. Because especially when you're first starting out, you have prototypes, things of that nature. There's a growing pains. And you really don't want people to know about those growing pains. You want to make it all sunshine and rainbows. You want to have successful launches. You want to have a successful 2 or 3 years, especially if you're trying to build the value to eventually sell off a company for a huge profit. Okay? So that goes with any company. That's not Brinkley itself or Grand Design or Alliance or Genesis or any of those. That's a company, period. So what can the RV industry as a whole, specifically dealerships, learn from this Sophie Rain lady? I could tell you. Have a specific plan of attack for social media. Look, I've been around at a lot of shows. I've been around at a lot of dealership lots. And in 2018, I had discovered that most people in a mall, most people at a show, most people anywhere, they're always staring at their phones. They're always staring at video. They're always staring at pictures. And the OnlyFans, how do I put this? The OnlyFans economy is these young ladies, and in some case young men, taking advantage and marketing it to their clientele through the phone. And they use social media to do it. They use TikTok, they use Instagram, they use Snapchat, they use Clapper, they use Triller, they use everything but YouTube because YouTube doesn't allow it. They use Rumble. They use a lot of these extra social media sites to post content, not about adult film, not about what they do on OnlyFans. All they do is post content about daily thing, kind of like a vlog. Look at it from this perspective. How many RV dealerships are posting 5 videos a day? How many OnlyFans chicks are posting 5 videos a day? One of my favorite content creators on TikTok, now I have nothing to do with the OF or OnlyFans or anything of that nature. I don't even go on it, okay? But I do like TikTok and I do like Instagram. And one of my favorite creators actually has a OnlyFans, and she promotes it and shoves it out there on TikTok through prank videos, through joke videos, through daily vlog type of videos. She promotes herself. She lets people get to know her. So when they go over to her page that makes her the most amount of money, they know her. They feel like they have made a connection with her. RV dealerships, and this is specifically to RV salespeople and to RV consumers, that connection we used to build has disappeared. Now it's all about who can give me the best price. For the salespeople, they fire their customers as soon as they leave the lot. Like, no, that's a service issue. No, I'm not taking your phone call anymore. When I grew up in this industry, I was told that every problem was an opportunity. You wanted that phone call. That is, you know something's going to go wrong. As a salesperson, you know something is going to go wrong. You know that it is an earthquake on wheels. And if you didn't know that, I want what you're smoking, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a Lux, a Brinkley, a Coleman, a Forest River, Flagstaff, Rockwood. It doesn't matter. Something's going to go wrong. You want that phone call. You want to be there for that customer. And the guys that are successful in this industry, when times are tough, are the guys that take care of their people. That's a fact. When you don't know your product and you don't know how to present the problems when they're going to occur, not if, when, then you're doing yourself a disservice, your dealership a disservice, and the consumer a disservice. For consumers, you guys got to learn that there's more to life than what the best price in the United States is, the best price in Canada is. Let me give you an example. The best lemon law protected states, the best consumer protection states in the entire 50 United States are the most expensive to buy an RV in. Period. So I used to get a lot of folks, this is years ago, this is before the YouTube thing became big, okay? I used to get people that say, well, I'm going to Ohio to go buy a Cyclone toy hauler because, damn it, it's $5,000 less. Okay? It is $5,000 less. And it's going to be $5,000 less because of how much it costs to get the coach from Indiana to here. And then I'd go, by the way, when you go buy it in Ohio, which at the time, I don't know if it's changed, but at the time, Ohio has no consumer protection laws for RVs. But guess what? You have an Armageddon level problem. You're one of the 1 or 2% of people that have something so major occur that it is a lemon, and you live in California, but you bought it in Idaho. Guess what? You're driving back to Ohio to go fight the battle in Ohio. You're not fighting it in California. Here's a great example. My brother Michael had a big problem with his Ford F-150. Okay? He lives in Oregon. Thank God he bought the truck in California, because even though the process is a pain, he got it bought back and got extra money on top of it. Fact of life, guys. There's more to the process of buying a coach than finding out what the best price is. If all you're after is the price, then you need to buy used. There are budgets. Hey, I don't want to spend more than 45 grand. Okay. If you don't want to spend more than 45 grand, stop shopping for things that are $60,000. Shop for things that are $45,000 or less. Because the negotiation process is going to be a lot easier and less disappointing. You also have to realize that there's a lot of scams out there that are being ran, okay? Because dealerships, let's face it, are struggling. And when you work and live in a state that is run like the Wild West, where you pretty much can charge whatever you want for fees. And I'll give you an example. There's been people that have reported to me, not going to say what states or anything like that, because I'm not here to debate people about that. That's the thing. This is just an education process. If there are states out there that will send you a quote for the price of the vehicle, and then when you drive to that state, they pump the price up with adding fees. Oh, well, sir. And then you go, well, I got the piece of paper that said you guys were promising me this out the door number. Well, yes, sir, but you're not registering it in Ohio, and you're not an Ohio resident, or you're not a Florida resident, or you're not a West Virginia resident, or you're not a Nevada resident, or wherever the state is. So we actually have to charge you freight, charge you a bigger dock fee. So I'll give you an example. This was a story I got back in 2017. Okay, guy goes out, buys a Class A motorhome in another state. This motorhome company was advertising things for $5 grand, $6 grand below invoice. By the time the consumer went to this state, by the time they paid for the airline ticket, which eventually they got the company to reimburse them, by the time they paid for the fuel in the motorhome to go back, by the time they paid the taxes, by the time they paid for the temporary plate, because they had to have a temporary plate to cross state lines, by the time they paid for all the things that had to be paid for, they saved themselves about $2,500 on a $250,000 coach. Now, a lot of you, well, that's a lot of money, and that's the principle of the thing. Okay, cool. My time on a $250,000 purchase, my time ain't worth $2,500. If it was 25 grand, yeah, it's worth my time. $2,500, and even the guy, when he came to see me, he backed out of the deal, and he came to see me and bought the coach. And he looked at me, he says, anytime you have a problem, have the guy call me. That was a waste of my time. And most people would be too embarrassed. Most consumers would be too embarrassed to admit that when they got to that other state, they got screwed. And by the way, the first people in the comments that say they didn't get screwed are usually the ones that did get screwed. Just to let you know. because they have to justify not buying in their local dealership, justify that they didn't buy locally. And that brings me to the second part of this OnlyFans topic. $43 million this lady made. The marketing strategy was brilliant. Okay. Google ads, email lists, email blasts are all great. But I'm going to give you something. I do not believe, and I'm going to give Josh the RV nerd a lot of credit on this. In my opinion, Bish's RV would not have survived the over inventory, the overcrowding, all the BS that we've gone through as an industry over the last 2 years. Actually, more than that, the last 2.5 years. Since about August of 2022 to here in December 2024, I believe Bish's would have never survived if it wasn't for Josh the RV nerd. I truly believe that Josh the RV nerd is Bish's RV's savior. Now, more than likely, Uncle over there is going to probably be very humble and tell everybody, no, that's not true. No, it's a team effort. I say bullshit. He's the man. He's the Sophie Rain of the RV industry. He's an excellent marketer. He's an excellent speaker. And he's a hard worker. May not agree with all the sunshine and rainbows subjects he has, but look at the master marketing and master sales techniques that he's able to reach. People from all over the country are willing to get in their car and drive to wherever this man is, to have a photo taken with him, to have a small conversation with him, just to be in his presence. Matt's RV reviews. Matt, master marketer. A little different. I think General RV would be fine without Matt. They've already proven they're fine without Matt. But again, another guy that if he had joined a struggling company like Lazy Days, master marketer, master salesperson, master videographer. Are they Steven Spielberg, these two? No. But they have the ability to reach the consumer at a different level than the majority of these idiots that walk into a dealership lot and go, I can grow your social media. I've proven over and over again that guys like me, guys like Josh, guys like Matt, guys like Jason at RV Miles, guys like JD at Big Truck Big RV, guys like Miles, MYLES RV, we may not all agree with each other about the subjects of our videos or the subjects of this podcast, but what I will agree with all of them is that they have the ability. I will bet you if Josh, Miles, MYLES, not Jason's channel, but MYLES, Matt's RV Reviews, I guarantee you if the three of them walked into Lazy Days and basically did what they do at their current dealerships right now, Lazy Days would be, within 6 months, out of the BS they're in. Because again, they use video properly. Josh has gotten way better with short form content in the last 6 months. Go on Instagram, guys. He's everywhere. He has between 4 and 5 short form videos posted on Instagram, it feels like, per day. Now, I could be wrong. It might be only 1 or 2, but it feels like he's got 4 to 5 reels, 4 to 5 posts per day on Instagram. And Instagram's hard, so it's not like he's like blowing up on Instagram. Instagram's hard. That's not an easy thing to be. But it's like he keeps pushing, keeps pushing, keeps pushing. Now, I don't know if that's at the directive of Bish's or if Josh sees the same thing. I truly believe everybody tries to keep things very positive when it comes to the RV industry. I'm the guy that's like, let me tell you the positive, let me tell you the negative, right? But I believe these guys know and understand that this ain't the same market it was even in 2016, 17, 18. This isn't even the same market from 2014, 2015. This is a closer market to 2009, 2010. But for different reasons. Okay? So one of the biggest reasons why we're in this mess is because of fucking commercial real estate. Commercial real estate. And what I'm going to do is Grant Cardone explains this better. So in the description box of this episode, I'm going to link his video so you could get a better in-depth conversation or in-depth understanding of what I'm talking about. I'm going to do the best I can because I'm not a commercial real estate expert by any means. But let's put it this way. Warren Buffett last week sold off, I think, almost all of his Bank of America stocks. He has bought all kinds of treasury bonds. Guys, Warren Buffett knows a crash is coming. Warren Buffett knows that there is a crash coming in 2025. And it's not because of you, the homeowner. It's not because of you, necessarily the consumer. You have your part to play. But now there's another element, and that's the $2.7 trillion in commercial real estate loans that are going to mature in the coming months. Commercial real estate works different than your mortgage. It's not based on property of the value of the property. It's based on the cash flow of the property. So most of your commercial real estate has basically cash flowed the same for the last 5 years. Interest rates have gone up. So something you borrowed at 2 or 3%, in the commercial world, when it reaches 7, 8%, there's a maturation level where the loan doesn't make sense to the cash flow anymore. So the bank's going to make them sell or seize the asset. Grant Cardone does a great job of explaining this. So if commercial real estate starts going to the point where you can buy it on 30 cents on the dollar, 35 cents on the dollar, 65 cents on the dollar, it will eventually trickle down and affect single family homes and apartment complexes. Just imagine you paid $100,000 over asking price for your current home in 2020, 2021. The commercial real estate properties all start crashing in your local area. What does that do to your home value? In a lot of places like California, New York, a lot of blue states, some red states, there is low-income housing being developed and built in a lot of cities, even the super rich and famous cities. What does that do to your property value? Okay. On top of that, we've got $1.17 trillion in personal credit card debt. Plus, they estimate, doesn't mean we don't have the final number yet. We won't have the final number till probably February, March next year. But there's an estimate that there will be another $300 billion spent on personal credit cards for the holiday season. Whoops. Boy, did I screw that up. So, that means we will have close to $1.5 trillion of personal credit card debt in the United States. How do we plan on paying that back? And by the way, if you actually go and listen to the CEOs of these banks, And you listen to Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, you got to find it because it's not going to be in page one of Google. It's not going to be at the top of YouTube. But just imagine that almost 70% of that $1.17 trillion of credit card debt was spent at a classified grocery store like Walmart, Target, Albertsons, Kroger, Vaughn's, whoever your local market is, grocery outlet. That's almost more than 2/3 of the debt went to grocery stores, to buy food, to buy basics. That bill's going to come due. Now, here's how it affects the RV industry and affects you, the consumer. It affects you because if the country does not start paying down this debt, not just the government debt, but we're talking about our personal credit card debt, it's going to shrink the pool of people that have the ability to buy. Banks, even in an incredible economy, still want you to have between 30 and 35% available revolving, meaning they don't want your credit cards to be basically over 35 or 40% used. I've watched people over the years that have 730, 740 FICO scores and have 18% interest rates on their RVs. That's not because interest rates are high. That was back when interest rates were low. It's because they're self-employed. When the bank ran them, because they have 60% usage of their credit cards, 65% usage of their credit cards, all of a sudden, their credit score dips with the model the bank uses. This is why a lot of the automatic approval programs, where we don't have to run it, us as dealers, we didn't have to run these people through a computer. We filled out paperwork in something called the VIB program, back when Bank of the West was Bank of the West, and we stapled it and off you go. So 730, 740 FICO scores, no matter what their credit card history was automatic approvals. You're owning a trailer. Those things are almost gone because now they've seen that the repossession rate has skyrocketed with people that overuse their credit cards, and mainly people that overuse their credit cards in those times are people that are business owners and they're floating the cash like you're supposed to. You're supposed to use debt on materials until you get paid on a job. You're not supposed to fork out your own cash to buy materials. Fact of life. You use debt. Businesses use debt to fund their day-to-day operations. From mom and pop at a small little salon all the way up to a Fortune 100 company, a Fortune 5 company, whatever. Debt is used daily to fund the daily operations. When you use your own personal debt, your own personal credit cards, it hurts your credit score, it hurts your ability to buy extracurricular toys, power sports, boats, RVs, etc. Now, that all being said, if what happens this coming year, it will shrink the buyer pool down to 2009, 2010 levels. Or option B is the banks loosen up their guidelines like they did in 2011, 2012. In 2011, 2012, banks loosened up their guidelines. They didn't loosen up bankruptcy guidelines or repossession guidelines, but they loosened up the way they looked at credit card debt. Again, we're talking about a different era. We're not talking an era where people had already filed bankruptcy. They were already 3 years clear, most of them. Credit unions are going to be the bread and butter of the RV dealership world for the next 3 years. If you're an RV dealership and you're struggling, stop looking at the back end of your banks, looking at finance reserve. Start looking at How can I just get people bought? How can I move units over the curb? The profit will come. Got to get the units to go over the curb. How many credit unions do you have in your back pocket? Now, when I was working as a finance manager, I usually had between 15 and 18 credit unions or alternate lenders that I could send somebody to or send a deal to. My favorite was Logix. My second favorite was Unify. My third favorite was Coast Hills Credit Union. Then I had Landmark Financial and I had ACT and a bunch of these places, because it's like, you never know. You might only send them 4 deals a year, but that's 4 deals you wouldn't have had. And that's how I look at things, right? The last real subject I want to cover today is winter is coming. Winter, in a lot of cases, is already here for a lot of the world. Or a lot of the United States, I should say. I'm hearing a lot of backlash from service centers and dealerships. Okay, so let me make this a little more, let me be a little more direct, okay? Winter is a really hard time for dealerships and people in general in the northern snow states, the snow belt as I call it. That all being said, the one thing that we should pay attention to is how many of these dealerships are not going to reopen when the snow melts. There's a lot of mom and pop stores, a lot of mid-majors, as I like to call them, guys who have 4 or 5 locations, that have contacted Keystone, contacted Jayco, contacted Forest River, asking for money to get them through the winter. Okay. Now, that's important. And the reason why that's important is because tomorrow's episode, we're going to talk about Alliance, Brinkley, Genesis Supreme. We're going to talk about the independents and why they may have to sell in 2025. And specifically Brinkley, why it would be the worst thing to happen for those guys, because they're used to making big profits when they sell Brinkley. How is their business and commercial real estate loans? Because we talked about that earlier. How is Genesis Supreme looking? How is Alliance looking? Why is it important that these dealers up in the snow belt are asking for money, and why the cash flow of manufacturers, including Rev Group, including Forest River, would make it virtually impossible to buy a manufacturer that is strained or may have to sell because their loans are becoming mature. It's going to get interesting, guys. I want to make sure you understand. 2025 is a good year to buy. Don't sit and get it twisted. It is an excellent time to buy, because the longer you wait, the more the dealer base is going to shrink. The more the dealer base shrinks, the higher price you're going to pay. That's the difference. If you're in an area that has a Camping World, a General RV, a Bish's RV, and a Blue Compass RV, all 4 are not going to negotiate prices. They're going to raise their prices because they pretty much have a monopoly, and your negotiating power goes out the window, even in a bad economy. They're going to make more money per copy, more money per unit, because they can. So if you don't go out in 2025 and you hold out because you think that you're going to get things for pennies on the dollar, you're badly mistaken. The more this thing crashes, the higher the price you're going to pay, because it's going to shrink down the seller. It's like, for example, if Tesla was the only game in town for electric vehicles, the price, there would be no competition to bring the prices down, make the prices competitive. If Target wasn't around, if Kohl's wasn't around, Walmart could jack their prices up. It will be a monopoly of 4 dealerships if you wait. So the longer you wait, the higher price you're going to pay, even in a bad economy. It doesn't work the way your mind thinks. Your mind thinks, oh, the longer I hold out, the more desperate they're going to get. No, the longer you hold out, the more other small dealers are going to sell to big dealers. And those big dealers, watch this, are going to raise their prices on you. Then you're going to feel stupid. So get over yourself. If you're ready, willing, and able, go out in RV. Go out and have a good time. Quality is a concern. Great. Hire a mobile technician to go out and do your inspection with you. Oh, just a reminder, all of your vehicles have needed maintenance or have broken down at some point or have had a problem at some point. And if they haven't, good for you. I've had one vehicle my whole life that didn't have a problem. That was my 1988 Ford Ranger. Every other vehicle I've ever bought, I've had a transmission, I've had to replace belts, I've had to replace hoses. Nothing lasts forever. It's all an earthquake on wheels. Nothing is built to last, not even our bodies. Go build some memories and enjoy yourself. So until next time, and until tomorrow, toolkit and sense of humor, folks.